So far, we have only been seeing the data fetching aspect of React query, like using the useQuery hook and using the useInfiniteQuery hook. In this section, we will look at the most important posting data aspect of React query. How can you actually post data to the server? How can you delete data? How can you update data? So for example, if you have a to-do application, posting a to-do is a very common thing, or submitting a form could be a very common thing. We will see how React query handles those with so much efficiency, but at the same time, it goes the extra mile to make things easy for us. So in this section, we will start off with seeing how to do a post request using React query. And in the next few sections, we will see more features that React query offers that make our life so much easier. Similar to previous few sections, I've already created a little bit of code to save us some time. So I will tell you what we've done. Let's come back to the website. And all that I've added is just a form to enter the post title and the post body and a button which is going to post this data to the database. So as you can see, each post item has a title and a body. So accomplishing this is very simple if you know React. So all that I have done is added two state variables right here for the title as well as the body. And coming down here, I have added a form with two input elements, one for the title and one for the body. And we have two onChange handlers right here, which is going to update the set title and the set body respectively. We have also two-way binded it. And finally, whenever this button is going to be clicked on, this handle submit handler is going to be clicked on. And right now, all that we're doing is printing out the title and the body to the console. And we're also clearing out the fields. That is it. So let us see this in action. Let me go to the console tab and we can see something like dummy post title and then dummy post body, right? So if I post it, and you can see that we have both the title as well as the body. So the next step is we have to call a function which is going to take this particular object and then post it inside of the database.json file, right? So we have the database.json file right here. Whenever we invoke a certain function, that needs to post this particular data to the posts array. So this is what we have to accomplish next. So the good news is React Server supports post requests completely out of the box. So I will tell you how that looks like. Let us write a simple post function. And before that, you can see that we are using an arrow function right here inline in this particular useQuery fetch function. Let us also try moving this outside just because it is good practice. So coming up here, we can say something like fetch posts, and we can just copy this particular line, put it over here. And instead of this, we can just put this right here. Okay, so it is all the same. Now let us get on with what we were doing earlier. Now let us write a post function. So this was the get method right here. Now let us write the post method. So this function is going to add a post. And this takes in a post object that we see right here. And then for the body, we basically use the same thing, but except we use the keyword post right here. And then we have to pass in the post object as the payload, as the second argument. That is it. And right now, this just exists as a standalone method. Let us see how we can incorporate this method inside the React query context. So earlier, to fetch data, we use the useQuery hook, and then we pass the fetch posts method inside of the query function. But right now, since we're interested in mutating the server data, mutations are what we use. React query provides something called a mutation, and that is what we have to use to create data, delete data, or update data. So for this very purpose, React query provides a use mutation hook right here. And let us now use this hook down here. Let's come below the useQuery hook, invoke it, and similar to what the useQuery takes in, the use mutation hook also takes in an object. And we need not have to pass in the query key right here. Instead, we have to pass in a mutation function. So we can specify the mutation function, and this add post is going to be the mutation function. We know that this is the query function, and this is going to be the mutation function because it mutates data in the database. So let me come down here and put the add post here. And similar to what useQuery returns, the useMutation hook also returns an object. But the most important property that you need to destructure from this is the mutate method. And this mutate method is what we have to call wherever we have to post the data. So in this case, we are posting the data on click of the button. So let us come down here, use this mutate method, and this is where we have to pass in the title and the body. So let me actually move this into a separate variable right here, and let's put the post inside of here. And that is it. Whenever the form is getting submitted and this method is going to be triggered, this mutate function is called and the post is passed in. So it goes to the mutate function right here, and we receive the post, which is then going to be put in the database. One more thing that you have to note, let's say you have multiple mutations. Let's say you have another mutation to update a post, right? So in that case, you might have to add some alias right here. So for example, in this case, you might say something like add post mutation. And for this, you can say something like update post mutation. And in this case, use this particular add post mutation so that there is some differentiation. But since we only have one mutation going on, we do not need this. All right, let us save this file and give this a whirl. And before that, let's empty the cache. All right, so let's go ahead and say something very simple, dummy title and dummy body. And as soon as I click on this button, you can see that there is a post request happening right here. And if I go down here and I fetch all of the posts, you can see that this is getting appended to the list. And to the newly appended item, we can click on it and go to the post details page as well. If I go back to the db.json file, you can see that we have the newly created item added to the list as well. Okay, so to give you a quick summary of what we've done so far, just remember that anytime that you're mutating data in the database, you will first have to think about the useMutation hook. This takes in an object as well, and this always as a mandatory thing takes in the mutation function. Similar to the useQuery's query function, this also would have to return a promise. So if I come in here, you can see that this also returns a promise, and this method is what makes the API call. And this hook also gives us access to the mutate method, which we're invoking, and we're passing in the payload inside of the mutate method. And this performs the mutation. As a quick side note, this useMutation hook also provides these other details that useQuery provides. So for example, this also provides the isLoading boolean, isError boolean, the error message, and we can always incorporate these into our application as well. But since you can see that the names are clashing, you can always use an alias like isMutate loading, isError loading, etc. Okay, so let's remove this now. So in the next section, we will see how we can make this entire posting process seamless. So in this instance, we posted the data, the database got updated, but at the same time, we had to manually click on this button to fetch all of the data again so that we can display the updated item. So in the next section, we will see how to instruct React Query to automatically do it right after the post operation. So I'll see you there.